It all right here
on RecipeTV. Looks like my menu is a success.
Cheers, everybody.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tastemakers Summit. I'm Margaret McSweeney, your moderator today, and I am so excited about this discussion. It's going to be creating unstoppable broadcast food content, featuring Lisa Renee Ramirez, who is the executive producer and executive vice president of RecipeTV and Entertainment Studios. So welcome, Lisa Renee. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm wonderful. By the grace of God, I'm alive. And I'm so happy to be a part of this because we just started, well, I guess we noticed the Taste Awards a few years ago when I embarked upon my new role as executive producer of RecipeTV, and the Taste Awards have been so wonderful to be a part of, and I'm so happy and I feel privileged that you guys invited me to be a part of this today. I apologize that you cannot see me physically, but I am having eye irritations today. My eyes are really in pain, but I couldn't miss this. So thank you, Margaret.
Oh, well, thank you for your extra efforts to be here. I am so impressed with your background and cannot wait for the listeners and viewers to hear about your Emmy nominations. Can you just give us a background of what your journey has been and share some insight into that?
Well, by the grace of God, I started in television probably about 30 years ago. And I was working administrative jobs. I just graduated from college and I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is not how I want to spend my life. So I got a job as a production assistant. I'd already gotten, I went through school. I got my master's degree and my bachelor's degree from the University of Southern California. So I'm a Southern California girl through and through. And so I got my first job on camera, which is hilarious, at the Home Shopping Network. And then from there, I got a job at ABC as a producer. And then I spent nearly 10 years of my life at ABC, owned and operated ABC by Disney here in Glendale. And from there, I went to CBS. And after that, I went to the wonderful Mr. Byron Allen's company, Entertainment Studios Network. And I just celebrated my 12-year anniversary this past August with Byron's company. And he's been the best boss in the world. I'm so grateful. So I am his executive vice president and executive producer of his lifestyle networks, which incorporate Pets.tv, RecipeTV, and MyDestination.tv. And it's just been a blessing. About 2 years ago, I started working just nonstop on his RecipeTV network. So that has been my charge for the past 2 years. And you mentioned Emmy, so grateful. In the 2 years, we've been nominated for 3 Daytime Emmy Awards. I just received a Daytime Emmy nomination for 2 of my shows a few months ago for Katie Parla's Rome. You see Katie on the screen there. She's one of our hosts for Katie Parla's Rome, and also for Vera's Latin America, Panama. And I received a single camera outstanding director for single camera nominations for those 2 series. So, and then last year we received a Daytime Emmy nomination for our host from the series I created, Taste of Ireland Ballyknock Cookery School. Catherine Fulvio is our beautiful host who lives outside of Dublin.
Oh, wow. You have quite a journey, both domestically, internationally, and throughout the media. You truly are a tastemaker in media. I know there are several who might not be familiar with RecipeTV. Can you explain how it fits into the entertainment studio, what its goal is in communicating?
Well, Byron Allen, my boss, he's wonderful. He, I think it was the year that I started, he launched 6 television networks. Crazy, on the same day on Verizon Fios. And RecipeTV was one of them. And so RecipeTV has been, one of his main networks for a long time. And just this past June, was it? We got onto the Comcast network. We're on AT&T YouVerse, Verizon Fios. It's like we're all over the place, and it's because of Byron. He's such a great salesman, and he produces great content. And so Recipe is just one of the networks in his portfolio, one of the TV networks. And so RecipeTV, I like to describe RecipeTV. There's I love this guy, Eric. He makes sure that all of our shows get delivered. Every time I deliver RecipeTV, he makes sure it gets delivered. So he sits there watching it, laughing if it's funny or whatever. He describes our RecipeTV shows as, he said, I love your RecipeTV shows, Lisa Renee, because they take me to magical places I can only dream about. So I feel, go ahead, I'm sorry, I don't mean to step on you. So that's been kind of our charge. I mean, my charge since I've been working on recipe.tv, like to take people to places I dream about. I went to school in France when I was in college, Dijon, which is in the region of Burgundy. It's the capital of France. It's the gastronomical
Yes.
capital, I should say.
Yes.
And then I also have a house in Italy. It's 2 hours outside of Rome. So I feel that those two things have been a catalyst for what I do today with recipe.tv, food and travel. I just think they're synonymous. And I think that's what recipe.tv is about. Like what Eric, our editor, said, taking you to places you can only dream about. And obviously, you want to taste the food of the culture. And to do that, you have to travel to see that culture.
That is so true. You really do taste the culture and understand it through the food. And that's such a wonderful thing that you bring to the media. With that, I love how you describe recipe.tv as having life's best ingredients. So for those of us out there who might be thinking, well, how do you create a wonderful dish for recipe.tv? What are some distinguishing things that you look for? What are the I guess, a talent composite that you would be looking for? Where do you get these wonderful ideas of what will really resonate with the viewers?
Well, it was a while ago, one of our sales guys, his colleague worked at one of those food channels, and he asked them, what do you look for in a show? And that person said to him, we look for domestic shows and we look for known talent. So that was the impetus for me to say, okay, we're going to go abroad, we're going to travel internationally, and I'm going to seek out fresh new talent, to make, like, for instance, on our left here, I love this woman, Catherine Fulvio, here on screen. She's our host for A Taste of Ireland. I met her in 2014. I was on a sponsored trip to Ireland through Irish tourism, and we were supposed to be doing a half hour with one of their top chefs, and he canceled. And so someone introduced me to this lovely lady, Catherine Fulvio. It was kismet. And Catherine and I have been friends. I mean, like girlfriends since 2014. And I kept saying to her, one day, Catherine, I just went there for like a one-off show, or I did a few of them. I said, one day I'm going to create a series for you, I promise. But I wasn't working on Recipe then. I was working on Pets.tv, I mentioned one of the networks. And then on My Destination, I was sporadically working in and out of those networks. And when I concentrated on Recipe in 2018, I went to Ireland. And I shot our first series with Catherine Fulvio, and that first series got her an Emmy nomination as Outstanding Culinary Host in the same category with Giada De Laurentiis and Molly Yeh from the Food Network, and Valerie Bertinelli won that year. But we were in that category our first year out of the gate, and I'm so proud of this lady, and she's been such a blessing in my life. So it's so wonderful how things happen like that. It's because I chose to take a different route by doing international shows, highlighting, spotlighting people who are just fresh and wonderful and charismatic like Catherine. And so,
and bringing so many people to gather around the table.
And Catherine, I love Catherine's show because we do it at a cookery school. It's just like about 55 minutes outside of Dublin, and it's in the country. I mean, her cookery school is on a farm with 400 sheep and chickens running all over the place, and it's magical. It's magical. And she does culinary cooking classes from her cooking school, and we do all of our episodes in her cookery school, and we go all over her little town, to go, get provisions for our shows, for our episodes. And it's delightful. We go to iconic monuments to have a picnic out in front of them and on their grounds, then pastures that are simply breathtaking. So it's really lovely. Catherine's show is one of my favorites.
Oh, and are there any other exciting new shows that are coming up that you're thrilled about?
Yes, you have Julie Nice on up right now. She's from our Parisian Food Affair series, and we shot that on location in Paris. And it was wonderful because if you think of going to Paris, I think most people, if they're gourmand, they love Paris, they're going to want to go to a French cooking school. So we spent a day at a Parisian cooking school learning how to make pain au chocolat, baguettes, and macarons. And we we did all the classics. We went to, and had chefs make steak au poivre, saumoniere. We just did a bunch of wonderful recipes in one of those episodes that were the classics. We did a bunch of different things. And I'm so proud of that show because Julie and I at Parisian Food Affair won our first Taste Award for Best New Series last year. So that was right out of the gate too. So it was like our shows that debuted that first year, you know, got recognition with the Taste Awards and the Daytime Emmys. And
that is amazing.
Sorry, I do talk a lot. I'm sorry, look, I'm not even letting you talk. So look, at a Parisian Food Affair, you asked what our new show is, and an offshoot from a Parisian Food Affair, while we were shooting there, we met this brilliant, young, bright, charismatic, wonderful chef named Edward Dowling Williams, and he's part of a new movement there called Bistronomy. So they're elevated dishes, just like the French classics you'll find in the expensive haute cuisine places, but his are affordable. And he goes to the market to get fresh ingredients every day. So Edward was in one of my episodes with the Parisian Food Affair and Julie on the left there, or on the screen there. And I thought, I'm going to create a show with Edward. So right now, yesterday, last night, I was working on delivering his first episode that's going to be our new series called Paris Bistro Cooking with Edward Dowling Williams. So that's our newest project and what I'm working on right now. So super excited about that. You saw it in the video.
Yes. This is so exciting, and I have such a special heart for Paris. And truly, this is amazing. It is. It really is so special in so many ways. So I know we've touched upon it a little bit, but I want to dive a little deeper too. Do all of your ideas come internally, or do people continue to approach you sometimes with ideas that you decide to take on?
Well, this is my boss's motto, Byron Allen. I mean, he is so self-sufficient in his company. He produces content and he distributes it. That's what he's all about.
Yes.
So I take that on as one of his employees and his EVP of the lifestyle networks that we create internally. Everything comes internally, like all the ideas, you know, that I work on, they're, you know, what I think would be great for the network. And I talk about them with Janice Aru. She's wonderful. She's one of our sales people, and Cindy Kelly, she's Janice is our network salesperson, and Cindy Kelly's our ad sales person. So always sharing with them. They're so excited, you know, knowing what our new content is, and it's just really lovely that, you know, it's a team effort. You know, we all think about what would be great, and I love it. The team loves the stuff that I put together. They call it aspirational and, you know, transportive and happy, and that's what I love doing. Shows that make me happy, that I know will make people happy in turn. I know that sounds so basic, but no, it's not really. During these times, I think all of us want to feel like I want to go away somewhere. It's like my Paris show I just delivered the other day. One of my first lines is, "Doesn't Paris sound wonderful right now?"
Yes, yes. And I was supposed to have been in Paris. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. We all had plans before the lockdown. Before COVID. We all had so many plans. It's crazy that have not worked out. So anyway.
Absolutely. You had mentioned, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Paris has a special place in my heart because we have 2 series from there now, but please go ahead, Margaret, sorry.
Oh, no, I was so intrigued. You were talking about Byron Allen's strategy. Now, I hear that also part of his strategy is to have the advertisers already lined up. Is this something you're involved with?
I'm not really involved with that aspect. I mentioned Cindy Kelly. He's one of his ad sales people who I work with. I will give her, we actually had talked about my shows, like when I'm going to debut them on air. So, you know, she could work with her advertising people on that. But I'm not really involved in that aspect. I'm a creative, and I'm happy being in that slot, staying in my creative lane.
Yes.
But Byron Allen, he has a bunch of wonderful stations. I mean, and he acquired the Weather Channel a few years ago. So he has a huge portfolio of networks. The 3 that I work on are 3 of the 9 that he has actually now. So it's wonderful. And our 24/7 HD networks reach over 160 million people. So
wow,
large reach. Byron Allen is, you know, really I feel blessed to work for him and on all that he's done with the company. And I just feel like he's given me such an opportunity and a platform being able to do what I love for the company, which is wonderful.
That is wonderful. And another business question, if you don't
Yes,
mind.
yes, yes, yes.
Recipe.tv is on television, cable, and has its own channel. But in the past, it's also appeared as mostly a syndicated program. How have you been pursuing both distribution strategies, and how has it worked out?
Well, Byron has he has a sales team for his TV networks, and he has a sales team for distribution. So, and we're still in syndication. I deal with his salespeople, when I tell them like what shows we're, going to be debuting for the season. But we're still in syndication. We were in 2009, was it when he acquired his networks? 2009, when he acquired his first 6 networks. Or when he launched his first 6 networks, Recipe.tv was already in syndication. So even back then. So, and he just keeps adding, he just purchased, what was it? It was about 15 US big 4 network affiliates across the country. So he's a TV tycoon. He just keeps adding to his portfolio with television networks and network affiliated stations across the country. So it's crazy. He might be working on climate change right now as we're speaking. No, I'm just kidding. He works on everything. He's awesome.
Oh. That is great. Well, what are some things that you have found while working with Recipe.tv and with Byron Allen that have surprised you, but also you think are important lessons that should be shared?
I think recipe shows are difficult. I mean, I really think they're difficult. It's like I've worked on travel forever. I used to work at CBS, and I used to be invited to go to the countdown shows for Survivor. So the reality show, Mark Burnett was lovely. He used to invite us, and so I would do like travel log shows. So his staff used to love when I'd be invited, because I would do a half hour featuring food and travel. And so I just feel I had done travel for so long, and then all of a sudden, with food as a component, but now having food as the major component, I feel it's difficult. It's difficult. I didn't realize, like, making sure recipes, were so accurate, and you had, all the ingredients, all the right shots, all the right cameras. It's been a learning experience for me, but it's been wonderful. So that's, like I said, it was crazy that our first one of our first series out of the gate with the Taste Awards won a Taste Award, got an Emmy nomination. So I'm just thanking God that my learning experience, I got over that learning curve, to be able to do these shows. But I think food shows are difficult, but they're rewarding. But they're, in the end, when you look at them, you're like, oh my gosh, I was able to entertain, I think, and take someone, on this wonderful travel adventure, and then teach them about the food of the culture and the process. So if I achieved all of those goals, I did all right, so that's what I try to do. Those are like my major components that I need to think about when I work on a recipe show.
Absolutely. And do you feel like there is a key ingredient that distinguishes Recipe.tv from all of the other cooking shows that are out there?
I feel, what I feel is, I feel our hosts have, not that the other hosts don't have heart in the other place, but I feel a lot of the other food shows might be a little more contrived. I don't know. I feel there's a lot of competition shows out there. There are a lot of shows where you see the same host and like multiple different, episodes or, different series. And I just feel what distinguishes Recipe.tv is, we have sought out to find new and bright talent that, are really down to earth. They're down to earth. They're just like everybody. And they happen to own a cookery school, or they happen to be a top blogger in Paris, and live there part-time, or they happen to be, a wonderful food journalist, who writes, books about Italy. It's just, and then even when we went to Panama, we did a show called Great Getaways Panama. That's Katie Parler right there from our Rome series. Wow. But we went to Panama, and Panama welcomed us there, which was wonderful. And we met with they call him the Panamanian ambassador of Panama. So he has the most wonderful books that win multiple awards whenever he writes one. And he let us do a whole half hour with him, cooking with him. And I took our meteorologist at KTLA here in Los Angeles. She's one of our hosts. She's awesome because and this is what I did. We went to Panama, like, was it 2007? And we said one day we're going to go back to Panama and do a show. So she's still a meteorologist on KTLA local here in Los Angeles. And we went there and we went to a volcano, the only volcano in Panama, in a UNESCO World Heritage Site, where we were going after the most expensive coffee beans in the world. And the owner let us go onto his plant. He took us for a tour on his plantation and we tasted his coffee. Then we went to the Panamanian ambassador's hotel that Ingrid Bergman used to stay at because she was friends with his grandma. And it's just, I mean, we do things differently, I guess I should say. You know, they're not like, you know, cookie cutter or what you expect. And I think that you want to be different. You don't want to look like the other shows, you know, and I feel that's how we try to stand apart, you know, with our hosts, our locations, the stories we tell. I mean, I think we've taken a chance kind of doing travel log-ish shows in the recipe realm. Because I don't know, it's like, sometimes there's room for recipes, and we do have shows like that on our network where they're just, one show could have 5 chefs and he goes through all the recipes from a famous hotel or famous restaurant. But these shows now that I work on, I mean, I feel they should be transportive. I feel they should, you know, let someone feel like they took a vicarious journey somewhere, whether it was through the food or the location. I think that's what is our key to, you know, making shows that at least we feel are successful. I think that's most important. We feel they are, and we're proud of them.
Oh, you have accomplished and continue to accomplish so much, and you truly do get to the heartbeat of the home in all of the countries, and to the heart of the home, which is in the kitchen. And it's so exciting to see what you have done, what you're doing, and I guess what is next for Recipe.tv.
It's funny. I feel like I want to work on some, we want to work on some baking shows. I think we haven't really put baking in our repertoire of shows. So that's something I'm working on with a baker, and other shows too. And like I said, Paris Bistro Cooking is debuting next week with Edward Dowling Williams. And oh, it's wonderful. It's like in our first episode, he takes us to one of the top bistros in town to explain, you know, what bistronomy is. And the new series of Taste of Ireland Ballyknocken Cookery School is debuting in November. So those are the 2 series right now that I'm working on. So she's coming back for a new season. We're super excited, and we shot it in the fall, and it's glorious. Ireland is just one of the most beautiful places in the world. If I didn't have a house in Italy, I swear I'd buy one in Ireland. It's gorgeous. There's just something that the people, everything about Ireland is just magical. You know, even the leprechauns. We feel we saw one day on camera.
Oh, no. That is great. Well, I'm just curious before we open up for questions, and I know there's some questions coming in, and viewers and listeners, I welcome you to just put a question in the chat function, and I'll be sure to ask that. But you have traveled the world. You have worked on so many different broadcasts. Is there a most memorable meal that just spoke to you and touched your heart along this journey?
Oh my gosh, I think anything. Well, I love Rome. I love Rome. Like my most memorable meal in Rome is oh my God, the pasta there. Every pasta there. Pasta carbonara. Riccioli is my favorite restaurant in Rome. And before I did the series, I had gone to Riccioli numerous times. And I fell in love with that restaurant. And then when I was trying to find a host in Rome, I read about this wonderful person, Katie Parla, she had the most wonderful website, multiple cookbooks, travel books, just, you know, an accomplished young lady. And so I thought, oh my gosh, I had contacted Katie, and I contacted Riccioli, and Riccioli was so happy. They wanted us to go there, and they let us do a whole half hour there where their chef is so wonderful. He is Muslim. He's never tasted pork. Yet he puts pork in his pasta carbonara that's world-renowned pasta carbonara. So I would have to say that Riccioli in Rome, pasta carbonara in our shoot, and that was the show that got me my Emmy nomination for Outstanding Director for a Single Camera, that show, Katie Parker's Rome. So, and it was featuring that chef and his pasta carbonara and that wonderful place, magical place in Rome, where you could buy cheese, you could eat there. It's kind of looks like a deli in the front, but there's like a cellar down below and a beautiful restaurant in the back. And if anyone ever goes to Rome, I encourage them to eat there, and they'll have a magical meal as well.
Oh, wow. It's just, I love this pairing of travel and food and really getting into the heart of the culture and country. Are there any other special memories from a travel perspective? We talked about the food, which is great, but just from the travel perspective that was so memorable to you, where you said, I have not spent enough time there.
You know what's so weird? Every time I go to Ireland, I feel that way. I've been to Ireland like
Ah,
probably 3 times at least now. And every time I go to Ireland, I'm like, oh my God, I want to go to Cork. Oh my God. Like last trip when we went to Ireland, we were just at Catherine's Cookery School outside of Dublin. But the trip before that, I had two crews going at once. One was shooting for my destination.tv, and then I was at the Cookery School shooting our series for A Taste of Ireland. And after all of us finished, we all got together as a joint crew and went to Galway. And Galway was like one of my, like a seaport town. It was one of my favorite places. And on our way there, we had to go to Connemara because we shot a beautiful castle, and a nun, a Catholic nun who is a chocolatier who leads a chocolate factory at the castle. And it was wonderful. It was as we traveled there in our car, we passed, oh my gosh, these beautiful mountains, the Connemara Mountains, waterways. And I just thought, oh my God, I haven't seen enough of Ireland. I think Ireland is one of those places that just like, grabs your heart. It's so pretty. Like I said, but I love Italy just as much. I guess Italy, I think I'll spend the rest of my life exploring Italy. There's just something everywhere. Every part of it is just magical for me.
Oh, that does sound wonderful. Well, lots of questions are starting to come in. First of all, Jessica says, thank you for creating aspirational travel food shows. When I watch other networks, it feels like TV has become all you below how to cook without the drama and get the viewers.
I'm sorry, you just cut out with that question. My apologies. What did you ask me?
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so Jessica sent in a question saying, thank you so much for creating aspirational travel food shows. When she watches other networks, it feels like TV has become all drama and all competition. And do you believe that you can still teach people how to cook without the drama and still get the viewers?
I do. I feel when you have the right components, when you have the right host, who's not really a host, she's like just a person I feel like a lot of them have hosts. We have people who, like Catherine originally started as a cookery school teacher, you know what I mean? So that's already in her wheelhouse to educate, to entertain. She's so fun when she's teaching her recipes. So I feel it's important to do that. I mean, I feel you go to a certain network to watch all of the the hosts, the contrived shows or whatever, or the drama, but you can there's still something to say about those cooking shows that are on beautiful locations with just great personable people delivering the recipes to you and sharing them with you. And I feel that's what we try to do. I hope that's how people see it. Did we lose each other
Yes.
again?
Oh, I think it really resonates. Another question. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Another question that came in, do you usually travel with a large crew, and do you use local camera people and producers, etc.? How does that work?
That's an interesting question, because when I went to Rome, that was one of our shows that got a single camera Emmy nomination. I actually hired a camera person and an audio person from Rome. I was the second camera. I shoot camera. So even though I'm technologically challenged, I am a camera person from my background. So and then when we when we go to Ireland, I hire crews from Ireland. So I have the same crew that I've hired, from my first trip there with shooting our Ballynacken Cookery School for a season. So they're kind of my crew. And so in this past summer, or last summer, I went to, after I shot in Paris, I went to Amsterdam to shoot a Great Getaways Amsterdam, and I went to Cologne, Germany to shoot a Great Getaways Germany. And I took the same crew that I had in Paris. So yeah, I think it's easier to use international crews because they understand, they understand what it's all about, from out there. I mean, when you're shooting in a foreign country where they're from.
Yes, a lot goes into the production. It sounds like so much to organize on that. Hugh Huny just asked a question saying, how do you pitch a TV show to Recipe.tv, or at least get on Lisa Renee's radar to be considered as a host?
Well, the host thing I would take a look at, but we don't take any pitches. Like I said, I love that motto, or Byron's like MO, what he does, that he produces all of his own content and distributes it. So I producer Byron Allen producing his own content. So for Recipe.tv specifically. So yeah, afterwards you can send him my email. I'll see what his host credentials are. But yes, we have our own ideas and we produce our own content in-house.
Perfect. And please, listeners and viewers, continue to send in your questions. This is such a wonderful opportunity here to ask the executive producer of RecipeTV, as well as the executive VP of Entertainment Studios, your questions. I'm curious too, what type of demographic do you see that most of your shows are reaching? I mean, do you feel that it's all ages,
we
male,
reach
female, or?
I've been told we reach all ages, and we male, female as well. So we have a broad reach. I'm happy about that. So it's funny because when I'm working with my editor, he laughs at me sometimes because I make up this character like I'm not going to mention the man's name or the woman's, but it's like I said, are we reaching him? Are we reaching her with what we just did? And he's like, I don't know. So I'm always keeping a male-female component in mind when I'm producing these shows. So even the music, I had just put in a theme song for our Paris Bistro cooking show. And I said, that sounds too precious. It sounds too pretty. I said, our host is a male, Edward Dowling Williams. I said, I want to go to my Cafe Bistro sounding music because we had music created for it. I said, that's the one that should be in the open. That's the one that should be our theme song. It's not so pretty. Paris is pretty. I said, but this show is different. It's a bistro show in Paris. It's a male host. So I'm always, aware of things like that when I'm working on my shows.
That is great. More questions are coming in. What is the biggest challenge? Wonderful. What is the biggest challenge you have found in getting Recipe.tv programs awareness increased?
Well, the biggest challenge, luckily, that's not so much on my part. I know that our ad sales people and our distribution people are doing their part, which, like I said, we just, was it June that we just became part of the Comcast network. So we're getting more eyes, as the months progress, our Byron Allen has added more, he's purchased more stations. We have more cable networks. We have salespeople, like I said, working on the network side and working on the syndication side. So, Byron Allen has huge teams working, in their departments, doing all that they can to bring awareness, to Recipe.tv and all of our other the other lifestyle networks I work on and all of his other networks.
Yes. Another question came in. I love this. What did it feel like when you won an Emmy?
When I won, I have 16 Emmys that I won in the past. I have to, those Emmys, I have to say, when I won my first Emmy, I'm not married. I can only imagine what it feels like to be married. And the Emmy to me felt like, will this feel like what it feels like on that day? I won 3 my first year. And it was just, I don't know, surreal and wonderful, and I'll never forget it. That is one of the most memorable things, winning those first 3 my first year. And so when I got nominations again, like this past May, when I got my 2 nominations, I was like, oh my God, I've been in this business for 30 years. And I won my Emmys, a lot of my Emmys, like early to mid-career. So when I got my 2 nominations in May for daytime Emmys, I was like, oh my gosh, it was that feeling again. It was like to be nominated for directing. Directing to me is something I love doing, and I wear, like I said, I wear many hats, and that feeling is just euphoric. It's just, it's been a blessing. I just thank God. I feel like God has directed my entire career, and he's been so good to me. And, you know, and I've been able the entire time to have a career in Los Angeles. Like I never had to move. And I know friends who've had to move to different states to come back to, you know, have a working career here in LA. If they're in television, you know, film industry, you always want to stay here. But I've been in TV my entire career. And I just feel so blessed. You know, I couldn't ask for a better job, better boss, and to know that God gives me the opportunity to wake up every day to do something that I feel that's a blessing to do for a living. And even my message is to just follow your bliss in your heart with whatever you do in life. And I know that sounds so simplistic, but hey, that was my recipe for success, or recipe for doing what I'm doing today. You know, you just want to do what makes you happy ultimately. And if you can do what makes you happy with the job that you have, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I thank God for that.
I love this. I'm getting goosebumps as you're sharing this, because I host a podcast, Kitchen Chat, to honor my late father. And he always was saying, God's trains run on time. So that is just wonderful, wonderful to hear. We have another question that came in. Lisa Renee, we love what RecipeTV does. We are based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it has its own channel. We have noticed on TV Guide, Cable Guide for Comcast, that it does not list any specific show names or times. Each 30 minutes just says RecipeTV. Will that change in the future so viewers can start following?
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that with us, because sometimes we hear that that's a problem. So, and I watch our network nonstop to catch that when it just shows generic recipe instead of the title. I appreciate that. If we could get more information afterwards, I'll follow up on that. So thank you. I appreciate that person who's watching us. Thank you.
Yes. Another question came in. As RecipeTV director, do you also oversee the editing, or do you turn it over to editing and just review the finished work? How involved are you in the process?
Well, I feel I have to be involved in every part of the process, and I'm sure it's not that way at other places. There are teams, and you pass it on from one team to the next team to the next team, but I can't do that. You know, the germ in my mind, the idea, okay, then I follow through the host, the show, all the pre-production, that's me. I hire my crew, I go on location, I direct the crew, I write I copy, you know, intros for my chefs, whatever. We come back. I have a wonderful editor, Gordon Ike. He's wonderful. He's my partner in my job. And I edit with him. I actually sit in an edit bay with him. And right now we've been working via Zoom together. So he was trying to help me put my photograph up earlier. Sorry, all those who are watching who don't know what I look like. So anyway, so Gordon and I, we work together, you know, every day. And it's like, we're like brother and sister. Otherwise we get sick of each other if we weren't. And he's a God-fearing man like I am. And we both, you know, enjoy each other's company, which is a blessing. And so we work on the show start to finish. And then there's a wonderful graphics department headed up by Paul Eames, and Paul and I work on the graphics. So, and we have a music company called Transition, and they actually created new tunes for me for our new Paris Bistro cooking show. I gave them some songs that I jazzy sounding Parisian, you know, bistro songs, and they created new music for me. So I would say I'm involved in every aspect of it, and I feel it's important because I want to see the series through the way I envisioned it from the start. And, you know, and so then I've been looking at rough cuts because we're about to deliver the first episode, and I'm like, oh, it's not quite there yet. No, it's just, I don't feel it. And then I actually noticed that there was a piece of the recipe left out. We were making a lamb dish, and then all of a sudden the shot finishes with the lamb dish and with potatoes in the container. And we never showed the potatoes going in the container in the oven. So it's like, oh my gosh. So it's like all these things, you could even leave out one step of the recipe. It was crazy. So I have to be involved from start to finish, because when I'm in the field, I remember why I shot something, even vignettes in Paris, little vignettes that I wanted to go in the piece with my host. We walked him through the Louvre, looking at the glass sculptures and you know, the gallery there outside the Louvre and in Paris. And it's like, oh my gosh, that'd be such a beautiful montage of him. And it's like, wait, this montage goes here. And I took him to a park, you know, he's a bicycle rider. That his carbon footprint is like almost zero. And he goes all through Paris with his bike. So his bike is like a character, you know, in our show as well. So it's like something that I have to remember, like I have to be there with it. This is what I shot for this. This is going to be here. This is going to be there. So I like to have my hand in everything, probably too anal retentive about it, but I feel that's my process.
No, you know what? You sound like a chef. You truly do, involved in every ingredient.
Well, that's
of
awesome,
the
and that's a
show.
compliment. I love that. That's a compliment, because if
Yes.
you're doing recipe shows, you have to be true to every aspect of it, just like a chef. You know, his recipe has to be just right, the way he envisioned it.
Yes, and the dishes you are creating are truly gourmet and wonderful and so tasty. We have some more questions coming up about competition. Who do you consider as your competitors right now? Food Network likely, but how then would you distinguish yourself from them, PBS Food, etc.?
I don't think we look at it in terms of competitors. I think, and I think that's always been, I think that's always been my motto. It's like, I never used to look at, like, when I do my job, I never look at it to compete with anybody. I compete with myself. It's like, how much better is this series than the last one you created? What are you doing differently? What is the next level you're taking your series to? Because you have to keep growing every time. Otherwise, you're going to look like you're doing a cookie cutter show each time. And I think that's what it's about. It's like just being better at what you do. And that's like my boss too. It's like, he doesn't accept excuses. That's even one of his mottos, you know. And it's funny that the title of our panel is called Unstoppable, you know, content, because that's my boss's favorite word, unstoppable. I feel he's unstoppable, you know. So I was like, oh, that's cute. They put unstoppable. I love it that they put it in the title of our panel. But I think it's just about being your best every day. I mean, even like as someone who, I mean, I try to be a good person. It's like, I just want to be my best every day. And I want our shows to be their best, you know, and that's what they're about. No competition, just being your best.
Yes, I love that. Another question came in. Will Recipe.tv expand into some of the streaming format channels or platforms?
Oh, they're working on that every day. But for right now, at Recipe.tv, we have a wonderful app called Local Now. I told you that my boss acquired the Weather Channel. Byron Allen acquired the Weather Channel a few years ago. We have a wonderful platform app called Local Now. And all of, in April, we launched Recipe.tv on Local Now. So it's free. They could go and watch Recipe.tv recipes. If they can't get us on any of the TV networks, or if they can't find us in syndication, go to Local Now. You'll find recipes from Catherine Fulvio, recipes from her Taste of Ireland show. You'll find recipes from our Panama show with Vera, and you'll find Edward. I already posted one recipe from Edward's Paris Bistro Cooking, and a Parisian Food Affair. I have some recipes from that as well, from our day at the Paris Cooking School. So, I mean, so if you can't find us, go for it. Go get us for free on Local Now, and we're going to start posting, or we're going to start uploading our mydestination.tv episodes for travel. And then they're also going to be uploading our pets.tv segments and episodes as well. So Local Now, Local Now.
Okay, yes, definitely. And speaking of traveling, another question came up. Are there other countries that you have your eye on now? For example, Brazil, Ecuador, Australia, Fiji.
Oh, it's funny
What
that
else?
you say that. As soon as this COVID lockdown and whatever's going on in this country, I'm going back to Latin America, God willing. I always say God willing, with Vera, our host from Vera's Latin America Panama. We're going to go to not Brazil. We're going to go to Argentina. We've been to Argentina before, Buenos Aires, and we loved it. I love the culture there. It's so European, and there's so many wonderful dishes there, and we love steak. I'm a carnivore through and through, and so that's one place I want to visit. I loved Buenos Aires. So that's on our bucket list for Recipe.tv next. I can assure you of that. God willing, that'll be one of our next places.
Oh, that sounds delicious. And hopefully Brazil one day too. I actually lived there many, many decades ago. And one of my favorite Brazilian words is aproveite, which means, and I use it as my tagline, savor the day, just to enjoy life to its fullest. So
I love that.
This is great. Also, another question coming in. What is it like to be working on your projects and being based in food-loving Los Angeles? Any interesting or fun personal experiences or professional anecdotes?
Well, I feel bad. I know our original RecipeTV series featured a lot of the Los Angeles chefs. It was like Wolfgang Puck was one of our chefs. I used to work on a show. Wolfgang Puck would be a constant guest on our on our shows, and we've featured a lot of chefs from the top restaurants in LA and the top restaurants and hotels. I unfortunately, or I guess I shouldn't say unfortunately, I am not doing that right now. I feel there are a lot of great chefs, and I feel a lot of people feature them in different ways. Even Local Now features some of the local chefs in LA. But I just feel I just want to keep us international for a while, especially since people can't travel. I feel that is that. I feel that. I mean, I even want to do show next, visiting places that make people happy.
Yes.
I feel people are in a different space. I feel people are just, they feel like they're in a cage sometimes. I feel like there's violence, and people are, reacting in ways that are like not the best sometimes, because I feel people want to get out and go do things again. So I feel that's one of the first things I want to do. I want to go out and take them to places that they couldn't see, or maybe they can't see for a while, because people, a lot of people, by God's grace, we're working right now, you and I, but a lot of people aren't. And I just feel like I want to continue taking people to places other than what's like so local and obvious.
Yes, and just having these gatherings and gathering at international tables as well,
Yes,
which is so
and
wonderful.
it's fun. And I think it's always, like you were talking about Brazil, I love that. And I feel everyone should travel at some point in their life. I mean, I feel like it's like that's part of the education of life, to travel. And it's funny because I'll see a photograph one day, oh, wait, that was in Romania when we saw this. And it's like, oh my gosh, that was in Lisbon. I remember. It's like, but I think traveling, everyone needs to have that reference, you need to travel, you need to experience, the food, the people. And then I think you have a better understanding for people in life and appreciation. And I think that's what a lot of us need right now.
Yes,
And
that is so
compassion and
true.
empathy, it's, anyway, that's not about food, but that's just culturally, I think that's important.
It is, and so much is about food. I'll never forget what the wonderful chef Leah Chase from New Orleans once said. She said, when you taste the food, you taste the culture and have a better understanding, and it brings you together. And I love that is what you're doing. You're truly making the world a smaller and more delicious place through
Oh my
recipe.
God, that's sweet of you to say that. You're so cute. But no, but you do experience the food through the culture, and I think that's like the most important thing. And even when we went to Galway, we did a food walking tour, and it was so fun. We went to a bunch of different places to eat our food in our walking tour, and that was one of the first things I said. There's the only way to experience a culture is through its food. And that's why we're going to go on a food walking tour through Galway today, and you got to learn about their whiskey, and their seafood, because they're a coastal town, and their bread, because bread is so much a part of the Irish culture too. So I don't know. It's so fun. I think we're both of you, Margaret, you and I are blessed to do what we do, that it's like food and travel related, right?
Yes, yes, so appreciative of that. Absolutely. And a few more questions are coming in. I know we're reaching up our time. Is RecipeTV still syndicated on local
Yes.
stations?
Yes,
Perfect.
we're on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox affiliates throughout the country. And like I just said, Byron just, acquired more stations that are, network affiliates across 15 of them. So he has even more and more platforms for, his networks, and I'm sure RecipeTV. So that's why I feel so blessed to work for Byron Allen and the Entertainment Studios Network, because there's been so much opportunity, and we have, besides food, besides travel, we have a car network. We have Justice Central, which features all of our court shows and our Emmy nominated court hosts as well. And we have an entertainment studios. We actually have an entertainment network, like it would be your E network, it's entertainment. And like I said, we have pets, we have comedy, because Byron's roots are in comedy. He was a stand-up. He started at like 12 or 13 years old as a writer for, he was writing with David Letterman and Jay Leno at the age of 12 and 13.
Amazing.
Yes. So,
That's incredible.
so he's a dreamer. I think I get inspired by him because he's a dreamer and he thinks big, and he's accomplished what he set out to do. He's also, besides a TV tycoon, a movie mogul. So he,
Wow.
he has distributed movies. One of our big ones was 47 Meters Down. It was the largest independent a few years back. So I think he inspires me with Recipe.tv. I think I have to think not big, but I have to think about quality and producing the best, because I feel he's an example of that with his networks and what he, has accomplished, as the CEO and founder of Entertainment Studios.
Absolutely. And two more questions that have come in. Most surprising thing that you've learned in producing the show and working on Recipe.tv?
Most surprising thing?
Mm-hmm.
That I think the most surprising thing that sometimes things don't always work out as you plan, and you have to adapt. I mean, I mentioned it early on in our conversation. That was like my kismet moment when I met Catherine. And you just have to adapt, and you have to think on your feet. Like, you could be in a foreign country and it's like you planned on something and it didn't work out. Okay, plan B right away. Think about it. You're wasting time and you're only here for a certain amount of days. So I think that's like what the biggest thing, to adapt and to think on your feet quickly, no matter what. And there's always a solution to a problem. There really is. It's like, even if it's the most important thing, prayer, there's always a solution to a problem. And I feel, adapting to situations. And I think that's why I've been in this industry for 30 years. Like, I have adapted, I'm still not that great with technology, but I've adapted, and I'm still trying to be my best that I can be every day. That's what I'm supposed to be. That's what God expects of me.
Oh, I love this. Such an inspiration. And then final question, any advice for young filmmakers and directors career-wise, or for working in food programs and content?
Well, I remember when I first started, and I remember I went to some news director, like, it wasn't even to work, it was in radio. I didn't even want to work in radio. And he told me, he's like, you'll never make it. There are too many people out there wanting to do the same thing that you want to do. And I wanted to be a producer at that point. And I was like a TV producer, even though I was talking to a radio guy. It was a friend of my sister's. He headed CBS radio. And he discouraged me, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, no, but wait, I'm God's child. I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to still pursue it no matter what. And by the grace of God, I got my first job at Financial News Network. I'm telling you a little bit more about myself. And I was a PA there. And then the boss promoted me within like 4 months, because he said, you're here with your master's degree. Obviously you want to do more and you're capable of doing more. So that was stunning. And then the company went bankrupt, but I was offered a job by CNBC, because CNBC is another, financial news station. I didn't take it. I didn't have a job for a while, for a few months, but then I got hired because I just got some random job, and I got onto Home Shopping Network. I was doing information segments on the Home Shop. I was on camera. I go from like a PA to going on camera at Home Shopping Network, doing information segments about taxes at tax time, or like recycling your tree at Christmas time. It was crazy. And then I got hired by ABC because I was on camera and I was employed. And when they hired me, they said, you're educated with your master's, so you're equal to our other people we hired here, and you're employed. Not a lot of people are employed. You're employed. So we're going to, and so they gave me an opportunity, and it's like, God opened the door, but I still had to do my part, and then that was like my first year when I won my first 3 Emmys. And I'm just so grateful to God. But I just say, don't listen to naysayers. Don't don't get discouraged. Really, I think I keep saying basic things, but it's like, don't get discouraged. It's like, if you have the passion and even if you don't have all the skill set yet, you'll develop it. Because I didn't start out being a producer, an Emmy winning producer. It's like, I listened, I asked, what else can I do? I truly did. It's like, I tagged along people, and I followed them. I asked what they do, and I wanted to learn every aspect, of a newsroom when I first started, when it was in financial news. And then I worked in programming, and I just wanted to learn how to be, the best writer, producer. I still had to direct my scenes. And I just feel, follow your bliss. Don't let any people say, no, don't let naysayers discourage you, trip you up. Trust in God, believe in yourself. And I feel you can do whatever you want. Sky's the limit. It's crazy. You know, I just can't believe it 30 years later. And like I said, the Emmy nominations, blessings still keep coming my way, thanks to God.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. I love these takeaways: flexibility, faith, and fortitude.
Yes.
So, and flavor, and flavor. We
Oh, I
must
like that,
remember.
Margaret. Look at you. Thank you, Margaret. Wonderful. Thank you. I'm sorry I didn't have a photograph for my image, but like I said, I had eye issues. But thank you so much. This has been a nice opportunity to share with you about recipe.tv.
Oh, thank you so much, Renee. This has just been such a joy to hear about your journey, and thank you for all of your insights and takeaways and lessons and overview of everything. And thank you to the media Tastemakers Summit here. It's just such a wonderful organization with the Tastemakers Summit and Taste TV and the Taste Awards. It's just such an honor to be moderating this today. So make sure you check everything out, recipe.tv, and also Taste Awards and the wonderful programming continuing with Tastemakers Summit. And always remember to take a moment and savor the day.